All right, this is going to be a quick review of Section 8 Secrets by Tom Cruz, and I'll just be comparing this with different business models, looking at the pros and cons of this type of business model and who it makes sense for, and yeah, some of the risks involved. I personally don't use the Section 8 Secrets strategies to make money. I found something that was much better for me as a way to make money, and it's actually all online and pretty much passive, much more passive than physical real estate, which is why I got into it. After spending about 50 grand on different courses and business models, I finally found something that actually worked for me with my situation. Yeah, before I get in the review real quick, basically I just make simple websites and I get them ranking onto the top of Google for a local service, like let's say tree service or installation or roofing. And once my website is ranking on Google and customers are calling my website to get that service, I then approach a local business who actually does that service, like let's say a roofer or a tree service company, and say, hey, I have this many customers for you a month. Let's run the numbers and figure out how much this is going to make you. Like on average, I try to go for around 10 grand a month, produce enough leads to make someone that much money. And then if I'm making them 10 grand a month, it's an easy sell to say, hey, if you want these customers that are getting 10 grand a month, you pay me $1,000, so you make 9 grand, I make $1,000. That's a win-win deal for a local business. And it's your website, so it's like you own the asset. You never have to give it up to a local business because you own it, and then you can actually just rent it out. And if something doesn't work out with that business, you still control the asset. And yeah, so it's like digital real estate basically. And you can just keep creating websites for very low overhead, $10 a month. You can host a website online with a tracking number, and you can just keep creating websites and finding the areas that have low competition, so you can rank it quickly on Google, and then rent those websites out and just build a huge portfolio. So it's all online. It's very passive once the site is actually ranking, and there's no maintenance required really, and you're helping local businesses. So it's a great business model. If you have any questions about that, or if you're curious at all about what I do, there's a link in the description. You can also email me. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into this review. So Section 8 Secrets, pretty much this is about buying real estate and buying properties and renting it out. So it's not necessarily anything like crazy or like brand new. The unique spin on this is that you're specifically buying Section 8 properties. So you're buying properties that in areas that would qualify for this government program that supposedly has more security for a landlord, because your turnover rate with tenants is lower. Your guaranteed rent payments, you can even possibly charge more because the government, I guess, is paying it, so you can kind of charge the government a little bit more. And yeah, and you're targeting a specific demographic. This can work. I haven't tried this. I do know with real estate, you're going to have money to buy a property. You either have to have really good credit score, or you're going to have a lot of money to put down if you don't have good credit score to get a loan. Like you're going to have a lot of money to put down to actually acquire property. So that is just one thing to keep in mind. This isn't necessarily like a low overhead or low capital business model to get into. Like you're going to have some capital to work with. So that's one thing just to keep in mind. The other thing is that this is definitely not as passive as what I do. This is you're gonna have to buy a property, get the mortgage and everything. If you're going to be taking out a loan, you're going to have to possibly renovate the property so that it passes these inspections regularly. You are also dealing with the demographic that could, is more likely to potentially damage the property or not take as good care of it. So you're gonna have to, basically be prepared to have more expenses to take care of your property if it's not properly cared for. You're also gonna have to, if you're not wanting to do all that yourself, you're gonna have to hire a property manager and train them and communicate with them regularly to manage your properties. You're gonna have to screen tenants, make sure you're actually only accepting someone that you think is going to take care of your property and not cause problems for you. So there's definitely just a lot of ongoing work with managing a rental property, and just headaches that can come up out of nowhere because you're dealing with other people that you don't have control over. So that's just something to keep in mind. It's definitely not passive if that's something you're looking for, but could potentially be scalable if you have a lot of money to work with. So yeah, I personally chose to stay away from like physical real estate, at least for now, and at least doing a business model like this. It could work. I've read mixed reviews on this course, so I'm not totally sure how legit it is. So you'd kind of have to figure that out for yourself. But I mean, me personally, I didn't have a lot of money or capital to work with to start, a side business to get away from my other job. I was just trying to find something that I could, work on in my free time and scale up and then eventually switch to like full time. And I found that, and that was, like I said, through digital real estate, ranking websites on Google. Just to show you an example, like let's say, because everyone uses Google to find services, right? Like everybody uses Google to get what they need. And so let's say you owned a website that was showing up on Google, like let's say for tree service in Greenfield, Massachusetts. If you owned one of these profiles up here in the map section or one of these websites, that is extremely valuable because you're going to get a lot of people clicking on your website calling for a service, right? And then you approach a local business owner, you can even give them free leads to show you're legit and say, hey, I have customers for you. Like, I'm going to make you a ton of money. Let's work out a deal that's a win-win where like I said earlier, like I make you 10 grand a month, you pay me $1,000. Like they'll do that all day, right? That's a no-brainer deal for a local business. And it costs nothing to maintain a website. I mean, literally $10 a month. It doesn't take anything to maintain it once you've done the work to rank it. And also you're going after areas where it's easy to rank. You're not trying to rank for like weight loss across the country or, some fitness program. Like you're ranking for a very specific service in a very specific area. And there's a process to actually pick the areas that have low competition so you can rank well and get leads and then make a deal off of it. And then it's just passive, it's just super passive because you're making the business owner so much money, like they're not going to want to cancel with you. And then you can just go on to create more websites and make more deals and scale it up really easily. And that's what I've chosen to do. But yeah, this has been a review of Section 8 Secrets. If you have any questions about what I do, feel free to let me know. My email and that link is in the description, and I'll see you in the next one.